So with November being Native American Heritage Month, I usually like to take this month to explore the different recipes from the different nations. And the recipe that I'm doing today is going to be the Cherokee Kanuchi. Now, Kanuchi is a hickory nut, essentially a hickory nut soup. And I know y'all are gonna be like, where am I gonna find hickory nuts? And I think that is probably the one big difficult thing about Native American cuisine. Like if you're a plant-based eater like I am, it's very easy to find substitutes because it usually doesn't contain dairy. But you do have your work cut out for you because you might have to go to your local park. You might, like if you're near some woods, you might have to go in there and kind of forage a little bit. But I think it's really neat because you also get to take, this month to really learn about the trees and the shrubs and everything around you, and to find out like what's native and what's good to cook with. And I think that is very much in the spirit of Native American cooking. But this stew, people say you can substitute for pecans or half walnuts. I'm not sure. I think like hazelnuts would be a bit strong, but in the UK we have a lot of hazelnuts, so kind of like working with that. And after making this, essentially like this stew, you pour it over, it can be things like sweet potato, it can be like hominy or rice. And so it looks really hearty. I haven't tried something like this before, so I'm quite excited about it. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy this one. So I'm using a mixture of pecans and walnuts. Recipe is going to be down below, and pounding it is obviously the more traditional method of doing it. You can certainly use a food processor, but this method actually releases more of the nut oils, and it will be very useful for what we are about to do. Press it in, but when you do that, more of the oils release, and it kind of helps bunch this ball together. Alrighty, so here they are. This is actually quite convenient as a way to store these nuts as well. So you can go ahead and freeze them, and then when you're ready to make your kanuchi, they'll be ready. So I was trying to find an earthenware pot to cook this soup in, and this one's actually for biryani, but it was the prettiest one that I could find. And those nut balls had actually been frozen for a couple of days in my freezer. And one batch of that, you mix it with 4 cups of water, and we're gonna bring it up to a boil, lower it down to a simmer, and cook it for 30 minutes so that the nuts get nice and soft. So remember how I said at the beginning, this nut soup can be served with things like hominy, with wild rice, with sweet potatoes as well. So you can go ahead and prepare your sides while the soup cooks. So that mesh really helps to make this soup a lot smoother. And now I'm just adding in the final seasonings, some maple syrup, and if you want, a little bit of salt. Okay, so the last couple of minutes you're supposed to crank the heat up so that the oils from the nuts blend in and emulsify with the rest of the soup. So we're just going to do that now. So if you don't drink this soup right away, the fats from the nuts kind of separate. So that's why I was trying to kind of ladle and mix everything together. And in terms of the flavor, oh wow. I'm trying this obviously just with some pecans and walnuts, but the sweetness from the pecans and then that little bit of maple syrup, which you can or don't have to add, but it's a savory soup, but it's also a little bit like a dessert, just ever so slightly because of the sweetness from the pecans and then that touch of maple syrup. It reminds me of pie as well. And of course you have all of the amazing textures from either the hominy or the rice or sweet potatoes, and it's just really hearty. The flavors are really nice. So I hope you all have enjoyed this Kanuchi recipe, and stay tuned because I have a Navajo blue corn mush coming up for you, and this one's going to be a good one. So I hope you all enjoy.